Hey guys, a little bit more of a relaxed setting here today. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me know as you pop in chat. Can you hear me just fine? I got my microphone. It's a good one. Everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. As you guys pop in, I'll say hi. But as we get going, avoidant men today is our topic. Why do they run away from commitment? I'm going to say that they don't. It's not commitment itself that scares them. It's what they're committing to and what the terms of the contract are as far as they understand them. Why do they run away from the commitment contract as they see it? The problem is that the contract they see looks completely death to them. They believe that they are signing up for absolute death, and that's why avoidant men, the ethical avoidant men, not the manipulative men, that's why they run away from commitment. Okay? They believe a couple of key things that are incorrect about commitment, and I'm going to show them why they're wrong. Avoidant men in the audience, sorry, I'm going to have to show you why you're wrong here today because you are actually wrong. It's that you don't understand what's actually being asked of you in a relationship. So I'm going to show you today what you're actually committing to and when it's a smart move and when it's a stupid move. I'll show you that too. Because yes, some commitments are really terrible and you shouldn't do them. So with that in mind, we're going to jump into that in just a moment. Everybody, welcome in here. Can you hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up in chat. Let me know, like, sounds great, thumbs up, whatever. Let me know that this sounds pretty good. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me nice and clear. I got a different mic, so the live streaming should be better. You don't have to crank the volume all the way to the maximum. Username, Ika, Jennifer, Marie, thank you. I appreciate that. G Caprice, glad you're here. Valerie, sounds good. Thank you so much. You're nice and clear. Love it. Glad to hear it. I can hear well. Thank you, everybody. Love it. My other mic was really quiet. You guys probably had to crank the volume before to be able to hear me. And then afterward, you turn on music and it was like, oh, I probably killed you. So I'm glad you guys are here. Phoenix, very good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Whistlestein, I can hear well. Glad. Welcome in, everybody. Avoidant men and commitment. Avoidant men and commitment. Here's the problem. Here is the core problem, and then we're going to solve it. Okay. When you ask an avoidant man to commit to you, here's a problem that's happening. Number one, you have something called novelty dopamine. For the first 5 to 7 months, novelty dopamine is reigning king. The avoidant man and woman saturates with novelty dopamine. They're like, oh, it feels good. It's new car smell. Those are new. That's new. This is new. Wow, we've never done that before. Wow, you look really hot. I've never seen this side of you before. So cool, right? Like first time you see him in lingerie, first time you swing from the chandelier, first time you do it in a car, right? Whatever. Like new experiences, novelty dopamine, 5 to 7 months. So they're feeling hot and heavy and it feels pretty good. They're going to say a lot of things. They're going to feel a lot of things. If they're ethically avoidant, they're going to be giving you dopamine back, except you're going to be experiencing oxytocin bonding. They don't realize it's not dopamine. They don't realize you're bonding so emotionally intensely to them. They don't realize that. They think you're getting dopamine the same way that they're getting. Okay. My first live. Glad you're here. Counselor Slab. Welcome. They don't realize that that's happening. They are not love bombing on purpose. Now, 5 to 7 months, as you've accrued a lot of oxytocin, and their dopamine falls off a cliff at 5 to 7 months. Their dopamine receptors start burning out. They need more and more and more. They need new stimulation. The old things are not working as much. This is where it's like, hey, let's spice things up with videos or making videos or new lingerie or new activities or new environments or more people involved, right? Like everything comes down to more novelty dopamine to escalate. So your oxytocin's going up and you're like, hey, I want to move in. I want to commit. Let's get engaged. Let's talk kids. Let's talk marriage at the same time as their dopamine is starting to plunge. Now, what's happening is they're like, I'm less happy than before. I thought I was in love, but it's dying again. Maybe you're not the person for me. Maybe it's not going to feel good. And the novelty dopamine doesn't really come back, you guys. It doesn't really come back. So once it's gone, it's gone. When they say I've fallen out of love with you and it will never come back, that's what it is the novelty dopamine is dead. Yes, that doesn't really come back. I'm going to just tell you that right now. Now, what is supposed to be happening is a massive oxytocin bond that is supposed to be driven. Okay. We've talked in previous videos about why avoidant people don't get oxytocin. Their receptors are actually blocked. Or they also don't produce the serotonin for the contentment they're supposed to be feeling at 5 to 7 months, especially at 12 months. They actually start having erectile problems or lubrication problems if it's an avoidant woman. They start having sexual difficulties at this point. They can't perform. It's not enjoyable for them. And they're like, wow, I'm just going to be unhappy forever. I'm going to be less happy than ever. At the same time as you're like, hey, let's get engaged. Let's move in together, meet my parents. Let's have a baby. You're escalating. And they're like, I'm more unhappy than ever. And it will never come back. This is where fear of commitment starts coming in because it looks like a completely losing game. Hey, sign this contract and I will get half of your stuff for the rest of your life. You will only ever have sex with me and you will never be able to go enjoy yourself and get novelty dopamine ever again. And you're going to have to continuously meet my needs, take care of me at escalating higher levels of expectations over time, where you will be less happy than ever and I will be happier at your expense. That's what they start to hear. And even if they don't assume that you're malicious, they assume you're just like naive, like throwing this contract in their face about constant losing, losing, losing. They lose, you win. That's what a commitment contract looks like. And again, ethically avoidant people, they're not like mad at you, trying to manipulate you, trying to nickel and dime you. They're not like, well, I would have sex with 50 people a week. And you're just, no, they're like, no, I want monogamy to work. I would like to have a monogamous marriage and kids and a family. But man, is there a way to do it where I'm not miserable, unhappy, erectile dysfunction, just deeply unhappy? Why does it have to suck so bad? Why do I have to sacrifice every ounce of happiness just for this? And this is why commitment looks like a stupid choice to them. This is why we call them commitment phobes, fear of commitment, losers. This is why people bust out those terms. Now, are there bad faith actors, manipulative avoidant people who play bad games and hurt people during this process? Absolutely. Yes, there are. I'm not talking about those people. Okay. They are 100% there. We're talking about the ethically avoidant people who are stuck in this pattern and don't know how to get out of it. Okay. I'm going to show you exactly what we do to get out of it and why commitment and monogamy is a great choice for avoidant people, but you have to make some key changes really quick. And number two, you can't push on commitment with these people because the harder you push, the more it sounds like you don't care and you just want what you want at their expense. You start to look like the bad guy, even though you're not. You're wanting a reasonable, loving, committed relationship. Totally makes sense. Okay. Other sources of dopamine keeping it unnaturally elevated outside the relationship must exacerbate it. Yes, 100%. Social media, video games, porn, all kinds of other things that they're flooding with dopamine consistently. Your freaking phone. Your phone is a nightmare rectangle designed by people who worked on casino games to keep you consistently funneling back. If you ever want to see a plunge in your dopamine levels, go into your phone, turn on accessibility, go to grayscale. Put your phone in black and white grayscale. You will be angry every time you open it because you're not getting your hit and your dopamine fix. And then put it on silent mode so you don't get the sounds. So the visual and sounds plummet, your dopamine goes away, and all of a sudden you're angry when you look at your phone because you're not getting your constant dopamine fix every 3 seconds by looking at your phone. You really want to see it? Look at that. You describe the disconnect perfectly from both partners' perspectives. Thank you, Phoenix. I appreciate that. That's what I do. Yeah, it's this. So this is the process. Okay. This is the process of why commitment looks terrible to an avoidant person. They're not bad people. Usually they'll say like, man, maybe monogamy isn't for me. And they're like haunted by that idea because they want usually a wife and kids or a husband and kids. If it's an avoidant woman, they want a partner and children. They want it, but they don't want to sacrifice every scrap of happiness because they know that's not sustainable. They're like, I don't want to cheat on you. I don't want to cheat on my kids, basically. I don't want to ruin my family. I don't want an inevitable divorce. Why would I do this? And they're haunted by this. They're haunted by this feeling. A lot of them come into my coaching practice like, Adam, fix me. Like, what the hell? Right? They don't know what to do about it. So here's what's missing. Okay. The reason that they can't move into this feeling and feel the same way, the reason that 30% of people are avoidant and 70% of people are the other way, and the avoidant people feel like a weird minority who's demonized, the reason is because their oxytocin receptors are blocked because they're chronically in their sympathetic nervous system. They are spiking in their fight or flight all the time. It's buzzing, buzzing, buzzing. They are high level cortisol. They have been since children. They didn't get oxytocin, which is blocked. So now they get low level GABA or no GABA, gamma aminobutyric acid, inhibitory neurotransmitter. It shuts down cortisol. So it regulates your cortisol level that's flooding through your system. Avoidant people think they're the most disciplined people on earth, but actually they're the least regulated. It's like swimming with 200 pounds strapped to your ankles. You've been doing that your whole life. You don't know any different. You think it's normal. If you have a fish with one fin, the fish will learn how to swim and it'll think it's normal and it won't know how disadvantaged it is by only having one fin. A puppy with 3 legs that grows up into a dog with 3 legs has no idea what it's like to run with 4 legs. They think they're fine. Okay. Avoidant people are massively dysregulated and they don't realize it. They're missing that component. Because that's happening, they cannot produce the oxytocin to bond with a partner. They cannot really produce either the vasopressin that bonds them together with someone when they solve problems with them. They pull away from people. They equate every conflict to a confrontation because they don't believe other people will be reasonable and work with them. So when there's a problem, avoidant people pull away, solve it alone, and then come back to you and say, "Hey, everything's fine. Nope, there was no problem." And they solve it alone. They get overwhelmed, they pull away, they solve their problem, then they come back, right? That's avoidant people solving problems. So they miss all the vasopressin bonding that should be happening in a relationship that builds trust. They miss because they can't relax. You hug them and they're like teeth grinding, like, "Why are you touching me?" But they're like trying, right? Ladies, if you've ever like tried to lay on a man and hug him in bed and he's like, you can feel him vibrating, you can feel him thinking about work. Like that's why, is because his sympathetic is activated. Very low GABA doesn't allow him to relax. Okay, it doesn't allow him to. He doesn't have the mechanism to shut down and relax in the evening time. That's why a lot of these avoidant guys drink. When you drink alcohol, it floods you with GABA. This is why a lot of avoidant men have mild alcoholism, or maybe not alcoholism, but alcohol challenges, right? They drink every night, every time, every end of the weekend. Like, okay, I just, just a couple drinks to be able to relax. It floods you with GABA is one thing it does. It shuts down your prefrontal cortex with a lot of flood of GABA, a lot of other things. It forces them into sleep and relaxation. Then they make poor choices and they're like, "Damn, I shouldn't have done that." So bad problem. Don't do it. Um, some avoidant men, take the supplement L-theanine, which is actually very helpful because it produces natural levels of GABA, natural levels of melatonin. One problem for avoidant men is they usually have chronic insomnia. And they've dealt with it their whole life because they're not producing GABA. They don't get oxytocin because those receptors are blocked. So then they don't produce GABA. So then they can't really synthesize melatonin. So then they're awake during the night. They wake up frequently. They wake up early. They go to bed late. They really can't get the rest they need. So they don't reproduce the testosterone or the serotonin or the human growth hormone they need. They're also usually what we call hard gainers, where when they go to the gym, they have to work out twice as hard as everyone else to produce the same amount of muscle because they don't get the human growth hormone they need at night. Really big problem. Their testosterone goes down pretty hard, especially in their 30s. And they're like, "Damn." So they take testosterone replacement for things and stuff like that. They're trying to like max what they can get. Serotonin levels are low, so they're never really content. So they have like a mid-level depression or a mild level depression all the time, but they don't realize it because they think depression is weakness. So they just like white knuckle it through. So they're just always like, "Well, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Well, it is what it is. Everyone's going to depress me. Nothing's ever okay. So who cares?" It's like low-level Soviet depression all the time kind of thing. This is bad. This is how they live chronically, and no judgment. Just like, man, it sucks. So the fix here, there's a couple of things. Number one, even becoming aware of this pattern. The avoidant people, 50% of the problem, 50% of the work is helping them understand that there's a different way of living. You're living in a survival state, not a thriving state. This is meant to be a short-term survival state. You're activated constantly and chronically and can't get out of it. Number one. Number two, there's a number of things you can do. One is the supplement L-theanine. It's an amino acid found usually primarily actually over in Japan, in green tea and in matcha. You can take L-theanine in the evening times. It synthesizes GABA in a natural way. It's not taking GABA. It's synthesized. You take it and it stimulates the production of GABA, serotonin, and dopamine in healthy amounts in your system. And that helps you produce melatonin, helps you combat that cortisol. So it can bring you down out of that sympathetic nervous system. Learning that you can connect with a partner. So going through the levels of trust and verifying that a partner is trustworthy. Usually avoidant people come into my coaching. We do the 4 levels of trust. They give scores to the people in their life. You actually saw me on one of my recent "I Wish You Knew" podcasts with Andre, go through the 4 levels of trust and have him mark down all the people in his life of what level they're at, and then kind of figure that out and then give himself a score. avoidant people need to know those 4 levels and then go through them. Then they need to build that intimacy with a partner, and then there's a number of things that you can do. I do have a recent video called how to fix an avoidant man with sex, I think. There's the 3-step process that a woman can use to bring a man out of his sympathetic into his parasympathetic, even through sex, and immerse him in that. One is having him rest his head on your chest. Women will flood with oxytocin as they do this. Men will flood with oxytocin, but to do that, he has to calm down enough to really immerse with you. As he begins experiencing oxytocin bonding and serotonin, he begins to understand the benefits of a committed relationship. Oxytocin in particular, that actually by the year 2035, it's on track to replace Viagra as a replacement supplement for a fix for erectile dysfunctions, because oxytocin drives the male erection after the first year of a relationship. So men who are in committed relationships develop erections largely through oxytocin instead of through just pure dopamine and testosterone. So you're meant to get that. So your sexual pleasure, your emotional pleasure, your joy, your connection, your peace. Peace is what avoidant men look for. That's oxytocin, vasopressin, serotonin. Only possible with more secure attachment. You need to have a trustworthy partner. You need to know what to do, and then you need to activate that process. When you do this, now you can build that in a sustainable, actually increasing loop year after year after year that goes up. So your life satisfaction, life quality, and joy and pleasure and sexual intimacy and everything grows through the years instead of decreasing. Now commitment becomes an investment. Now it becomes a smart investment, especially if their partner steps in and says, look, my expectations are not here, they're here. Here's what it would look like to be committed. Here's what I will also give to you. Here's what you'll receive. Really focusing on what the avoidant man receives in marriage and commitment and intimacy and how it grows through the years, showing him that investment chart. Avoidant men can read an investment chart. Let me tell you, it's what they live by. So showing them that commitment is supposed to be a growing investment, not a depreciating investment, not a depreciating investment, a growing investment that increases over time. I don't know what the opposite of depreciating is. Appreciating, maybe appreciating in value. There you go. Avoidant guys out there, you probably know the term. Let me know in chat. But that's ultimately what this is supposed to be, is letting them know that commitment is an investment that grows, but only when your oxytocin receptors are open and you have a trustworthy partner who's going to work with you. Oxytocin receptors open, vasopressin activated, serotonin flooding. Those are the things that are supposed to improve. It builds an incredible life. You gain an additional, let's say, 10 to 15 years of life expectancy for avoidant men, harder stance against cancer, more resilient against cancer, heart attack, stroke, greater productivity. You will feel weird, but your stress level will decrease. So it doesn't take away your edge, but it allows you to rest at night and replenish. Your testosterone, human growth hormone, serotonin all go up. So you can actually come home, turn everything off, and have peace. And that effect should actually accumulate and compound through the years. So you have more peace, more intimacy, better sex. If you've ever wondered why a dude at like 55, 60 is still having amazing sex with his wife, it's because they've got a secure bond and huge oxytocin. His brain will actually look at her and rate her like 2 or 3 points higher on the scale. And he'll actually be remembering her when she was younger and hotter. So he's actually reacting to her hormonally that way, which is why he can still find his wife hot when she's old and saggy. That's why. That's why. Oxytocin makes you a little drunk and a little stupid, and that's okay when it's with a loving, trustworthy partner who actually has your back and is not exploiting you. They're actually taking care of you. It's okay to be a little drunk and a little stupid with a trusting, trustworthy, loving, devoted partner. You actually want that. That's what your brain is designed to do. It creates great, facilitates great bonding, safety, connection. It facilitates a healthy, functioning family and society. So you want all of this. This is what you want for avoidant people. Okay. This is the piece that's missing. So there we go. I'm going to jump into the questions here over for a second. Let's jump in there. Wow, you guys have been active over here. Look at you, chat. I love it. I'm too ethical. I avoid relationships to avoid hurting people in the first place. Phoenix, I hear that. Understanding how to build these safe, loving, intimate structures is crucial so that you can start doing that. Love vasopressin bonding. Love it, Ika. 100%. 100%. I'm going to kind of just flash through here. Samantha, do you have a book and or workbook for all of this? So valuable. I do have my How to Love an Avoidant Man video course that is available. How to Love an Avoidant Man. It's available on my website, adamlanesmith.com. It'll be down in the description after this for people who are curious. But just adamlanesmith.com, courses, How to Love an Avoidant Man. It's all in there. I'll research that and we'll try. Yes, make Adam's advice awesome. Try to GABA sleep. Insomnia is crazy. Yeah. Username. Have you tried dopamine detoxing before trying to form? Yeah, dopamine detoxing is helpful. L-theanine in 400 to 600 milligrams plus magnesium malate, M-A-L-A-T-E, in about 800 milligrams at night is a really potent sleep cocktail for people that does not put you to sleep. Valerian root has a sedative effect. Um, L-theanine does not have a sedative effect. It allows you to synthesize your own GABA and your own melatonin at your own body's natural pace, as if you were getting oxytocin connection, and then utilizes that magnesium to synthesize that melatonin. So magnesium malate, about 800 milligrams, with L-theanine, about 400 to 600 milligrams at night. Massive sleep cocktail. Massive sleep cocktail. I'm not recommending it, but look at it, talk to a nutritionist, make your own decision. Green tea. Yeah, green tea it includes it. It does have a lot of caffeine in it though, so you can't really do the green tea. You don't want to slam green tea at night. But they do a lot of caffeine pills with L-theanine in them for that purpose, because you don't amp up too much with the cortisol. You go up and don't get the jitters. Then when you crash, you don't crash, you kind of come down. The L-theanine is keeping you in that middle loop because of the GABA. And then you don't have a GABA crash because you didn't flood with GABA. You did something that synthesized the production of GABA. Very different. Okay. Drinking alcohol floods with GABA and then you crash. L-theanine encourages you to produce GABA and then allows you to taper off. Makes sense? Not habit forming that way. Gulp, gulp. Sorry. Hello, Adam. This is Tommy. Hey, Tommy. I feel like every time a woman shows a lot of affection to me, I feel like running away. I don't know how to respond. This is a sign of avoidant attachment. It can be. It can be. There is something called oxytocin phobic response, where when we begin to experience the oxytocin, if you're more like a disorganized style, if you experience the oxytocin flow and your oxytocin receptors open up, then your brain goes, oh God, not again. Last time I was open and got bonded like this, it hurt me. Then you close them and freak out and run away because of the oxytocin bonding. So that's more of an oxytocin phobic response. That could be. It depends how hard that woman's coming on. Like if she's like suddenly outside your bedroom window at night and like scratching on the glass, yeah, run away. But if it's because you feel good, that would be the problem, if that makes sense. Oxytocin phobia. Ika, Adam, glad you're good. Got to see you next time. Love that. Take care of yourself. Always glad you're here. HSP Innovators, good to see you. Welcome. Really helpful info. Thanks. You're very welcome. Phoenix, I love that sleep cocktail. I'll try that. Good. Yeah, give it a shot. I encourage a lot of my friends and family to do that. It takes care of it. It helps. And as you generate more GABA, you actually begin suppressing cortisol. So you actually can begin opening up your oxytocin receptors. So I'm not saying that people should go out there and wrap an L-theanine pill in a cold cut and like trick your avoidant guy by throwing meat at him and he eats it and then unknowingly takes a pill like a golden retriever. I'm not saying that, but taking the L-theanine supplement can really help regulate your GABA so that you can actually calm down enough to bond with a girlfriend, or a wife. So if there's avoidant men out there in the audience, you might consider, like before a date or before a snuggle fest, taking 400, 600 milligrams of L-theanine, relaxing into the experience with her, sharing with her, bonding with her, and you'll experience the oxytocin flow very differently. It can really help. I don't recommend taking GABA, to be honest with you. Some people swear by it. Some people take GABA, but keep in mind, like slamming alcohol, you're forcing GABA into your system. Taking GABA, you're forcing GABA into your system. Habit forming, you start producing less of your own. You crash afterward. I just don't recommend it. Some people might, totally cool. Do your choices, but I really prefer like the effects of L-theanine. They're more subtle, non-habit forming, more healthy. Can you do more videos on ethical, avoidant, and fearful, but more ethical? Fearful but ethical. You're talking about disorganized attachment style. You're talking about quiet disorganized paired with an ethical avoidant, is I think what you're talking about. It's a more rare combination, but it can happen. I just had a coaching client this morning who was a quiet disorganized woman with a avoidantly attached partner. The problem is that there's no glue holding you both together, and you're both likely to get up and walk away and not talk about it. So the biggest thing you need to be doing is communicating openly about expectations, communicating openly about stress, communicating openly and asking questions, and getting more data from each other. Absolutely crucial that you guys be asking each other more questions. Otherwise, you're going to make a lot of assumptions and just walk away. Um, Juicy. No, that was you. Jen, isn't a lot of the problem of modern dating due to premarital sex becoming so normalized? Well, chicken and the egg. It's not just that premarital sex is normalized, it's that premarital sex is now expected, and we don't understand why commitment and bonding is even important anymore. And now we think that sex is the highest pleasure, is the highest good, and that pain is the highest bad. So it's really changed a lot. Okay. People still have needs and desires, but now they're afraid of actually forming long-term connections. That's really the problem, if that makes sense. Avoidant keeps saying he needs me to meet his family for us to move forward. Awesome, but has yet to make that happen. Now he's aggravated because I don't really care to anymore. Quali, Lachey, I would say, hey, look, I would love to connect with your family and meet them. It just seems like you were very hesitant. If you want it to happen, please set a date and let's do it. It sounds like that's probably what's needed. Sound doable? Just get a date locked in. Sounds like he was kind of like you probably felt like he was carroting you along, right? Like make the horse run after the carrot. Uh, Tell him you want to set a date and get it done. That's my recommendation. My man tends to sexually weird dreams and wishes and is avoidant and has erectile dysfunctions. Is that problem? Sounds like he's probably slamming a tremendous amount of porn, Aylin, or has throughout his life, and doesn't know how to actually build a sexual relationship with you. A lot of guys don't know how to do that. A lot of them think it's all dopamine driven, so they'll focus on body parts and actions, and they'll forget you're even in the room. Like they're just pumping away, staring at your boobs, and you're like, "Hi, I'm still here." And he's like, "Whoa, when did you get here?" Right? Like that's unfortunately very common. They need to detox from porn. They need to detox from the dopamine. They need to actually engage in foreplay and sexual intimacy, non-intercourse intimacy, and actually connect with you as a human being. Very, very important that you start doing that. Well, Adam, I didn't know GABA would lead to lowering my ability to produce GABA. Well, yeah. So, I mean, that's what chemical dependency is you start doing something so it lowers your ability to do that thing. The problem, for example, like with nicotine, you start smoking cigarettes, it produces dopamine, you're like, whoa, this feels good. And then because you're doing something that's slamming you full of dopamine, your body begins producing less dopamine. You don't want too much dopamine because that leads to schizophrenia, like psychotic symptoms. You don't want too little dopamine because that leads to like Parkinson's and tremors. So your body needs to keep you within a certain range of dopamine, and your body will try to produce more or less based on what you're flooding with, based on chemicals. So if you are using nicotine, you're going to produce less dopamine. So when you try to come off nicotine, you are an absolute angry jerk and you hate life and everything sucks for like 3 or 4 days, pretty typically, usually. So you have to do little things to elevate your dopamine just a little bit, get you off of it, but not too much so you don't become dependent on the new thing, right? Like people are like, when you get off nicotine, just use sugar. Well, good luck getting off sugar. It's even more addictive than nicotine. So yeah, that is what it is. So be aware, just be careful. Be careful what you're doing. That's what you're doing. You're replacing the actual hormone, whereas theanine is a building block for it. There you go. Good for short-term brute intervention, bad for long-term. 100%. Yeah, you could slam some GABA pills before your girl comes over, but you could also take some L-theanine for a day or two and start generating that on your own. Hi, Adam. How do I know if it's oxytocin I'm feeling rather than dopamine when I'm with a woman? Oxytocin will produce more of so it opens up your parasympathetic nervous system, which stimulates your vagus nerve. Your chest will feel warmer. You'll feel more relaxed. Your mind will feel emptier, and you're actually feel at peace, and you're going to feel contentment, where you can kind of just sit there and go, oh, that actually feels really nice. Your mind will be more empty. You won't feel urgency. And when there's a task that goes through your head, you can say, now think about that later. And you're going to produce more GABA. Oxytocin leads to GABA, leads to suppression of cortisol. When it's just dopamine, you're like, well, that feels good. Oh, a bad thought. I better do more dopamine. Oh, man, that feels really good. Oh, man, a bad thought. More dopamine. Oh, man, that feels really good. And you're amped up and you're like feeling this revved feeling. That revved feeling does not produce the warm feeling in your chest or the vagus nerve stimulation. Your breathing is not usually going to change. Your heart rate is usually going to go up instead of down. Your heart rate goes usually down with the oxytocin. You're also going to enter your digest phase where you're actually digesting more. Dopamine is going to like amp you up and rev you. And you're like, yeah, baby, that feels good. And you keep going. That's the dopamine. But then you crash. Oxytocin, you usually don't crash. Now, there can be a cliff that you can fall off if you only get oxytocin with a partner once a week, and then they go away after the weekend and you're miserable for a day or two. You can have oxytocin withdrawals, a little bit different, right? A little bit different, especially common with anxious attachment style, disorganized attachment style. It can happen, but it's not to the impact of the dopamine. Adam, are you saying that in order for avoidance to start bonding, get all hormones, they need oxytocin, GABA, drug supplements are needed? No, no, but they do need to be able to come out of their sympathetic nervous system. One thing that can be helpful, for example, is L-theanine and GABA. Another thing that can be helpful is prolonged physical discomfort. I have an audio technique that helps you come out of your sympathetic nervous system. Another is vasopressin bonding, by learning to trust a person so that in their presence, your nervous system actually calms down and you actually come out of your sympathetic nervous system in their presence. There's a number of key things you can and should do to come out of that sympathetic nervous system response, but until you do, your oxytocin receptors are welded shut. So keep that in mind. There's a number of helpful things you could do. Good question. Rena, hi, Adam. Do I reach out to my avoidant ex after no contact? Probably not. Or do I wait for him to reach out? The session was just like you were describing him. Yeah. How long were you guys together? Why did you break up? There's so many factors that are in there, Rena. But typically, if you are going to reach out, you could reach out and just say, hey, look, I'd love to reconnect with you. When is a good time for you? Like, that's the extent of the reach out if you're wanting to. And really make sure that reaching out to him is actually something you want to do and why. Make sure you're not just oxytocin withdrawing and craving his presence. Can I know what the attachment style for my kids? Please make videos about that and how to help them be securely attached while they're still kids. Sophia, couple videos. I have some older videos on this channel. One is beyond the attachment styles. It goes through my 8 attachment styles in there. You can actually start looking at them and seeing the behaviors. You're going to have to ask your kids some questions, though. For parenting, I actually recommend Lisa Chen. She's fantastic. She has an Instagram channel. She does attachment parenting, which is great. I usually hate attachment parenting, but I like the way that she does it. She's on Instagram. Give me a sec. Let me look her up. Lisa and Instagram. Here you go. She's a little bit smaller. No, it's not her. Who the heck is that? Lisa Chen Instagram. Hold on, give me just a sec. I'm going to look her up really quick. She's fantastic with parenting. Yeah, Lisa Chen. Here we go. She got 32,000 followers. I recommend her. She's really awesome. I like her stuff. Dropping that in chat. There you go. Lisa Chen. Fantastic. No, not Lisa Brunage. Lisa Chen. I just dropped her Instagram link over there for you guys. She's got 32K followers. Go check her out for parenting for attachment pieces. Really, really great material. Sophia. Oh, there you go. Sophia, check that out. Phoenix, you're welcome. We get off your case. It's all good. I like that username. Thank you for being proactive. Phoenix, thanks for being open. Does oxytocin feel the same for both genders? I never had or felt oxytocin. It generally feels the same, although not completely. Women will usually report a sense of safety. Men report a sense of peace. We use different words for different reasons. Men usually are not seeking safety. Women usually are not seeking peace. Safety, peace. So I feel safe. I feel at peace. Generally speaking, if you've never had or felt oxytocin, that would be avoidant attachment style. That's the reason they don't feel it. Once you get it, it's like, I get it. Like, that's the feeling. Like, you'll finally experience it. Once you have it, it's big. Jen, is it worth being friends with an avoidant in a genuinely unstable time in their life that I'm romantically interested in? Should it be all or nothing? Well, it really depends what you're trying to do. Don't become the shoulder to cry on. And there's a fairly crass saying, but with avoidant people, vasopressin bonding with them is a huge piece. Being the person who is there with them through the difficult times can be big, but only if they're ethically avoidant. Only if they're actually working with you. If they're manipulatively avoidant, they'll use you during that time and then like ride off into the sunset with someone younger and hotter. That's unfortunately a common pattern for them. So ethically avoidant, cool. Manipulatively avoidant, no. Make sure you're separating. Can a person have avoidant and anxious? Yeah, that's called disorganized attachment style, meaning cannot be neatly organized in either one. You can be loud disorganized, where it's very chaotic. Your feelings are changing, shifting constantly. You're afraid of intimacy, but you also crave it. Or you can be quiet, disorganized, where you are avoidant on the outside and you look disinterested, and to everybody you look cold and distant, but you're not. On the inside, you're just very shy and very quietly insecure about yourself, but you never really let that out. So you tend to just be reactive to people who come to you. You try to give them love and care when you can. Mostly you connect with chaotic, disturbing people, and your life is just like, man, this kind of sucks, but oh well, I guess this is all I get. Those are usually the two types. Um, Thought Garden, secure, previously anxious. My ex is recovering avoidant. He broke up with me 2 years ago. I'm not waiting on him. I'm still dating. Can I bring up getting back together? Why? Why 2 years later you want to get back with him? I'm curious. Why not move on? And I'm not saying you should. I'm just curious. What's leading that? Phoenix, I've never felt safe before. Thank you for explaining that. My goal is to feel safe with a man anyways. Yeah. So Phoenix, that's the safety feeling. If you watched my other videos on avoidant women, I have a video on this channel, a live stream that I did. Go into the live stream section, avoidant women and anxious men. Check it out. I described avoidant women as like, what was it? What did someone in the audience say? Like Terminator goat maiden or something like that. It was like hilarious. Go check that video out though, Phoenix. I think you'll resonate with really, really hard. Avoidant women are looking for someone who is safe and also hyper masculine, someone who out masculines you but doesn't smother you. That's what you're probably looking for. Aylin, when an avoidant calls me or is interested, should I be open and friendly or cold and show my actions are not okay? Neither. That's playing games. When I try to speak and communicate problems and needs, he's overwhelmed, feels attacked, his peace is gone. Then it sounds like he's not actually wanting a relationship. He wants you to be a pleasure doll that when he comes to you, you are self-lubricating and he just gets his enjoyment. He doesn't want to have a relationship with you. That's sorry to be crass, but he does not want a relationship with you, Aylin. He does not want an adult grown-up relationship. He wants everything convenient and prepackaged and ready for his approval and ready for his pleasure. That is not who you are, and that's not what you want. So you're probably going to have to draw some hard lines with him. Ask yourself if this is the relationship you really want, and you're going to have to move on. To be honest with you, I'm not saying for sure. Definitely look at that. Take it with a grain of salt. But to me, it does not sound like he's ready for a relationship. If he was, he'd listen to you. He'd have some conversations. He would do the avoidant thing where they listen, they're nervous and stressed, but they listen, and then he'd work with you. If he just automatically defaults to being overwhelmed, attacked, my peace is gone, how dare you have needs? No, done. That's not a relationship. You can't have that. Thank you, Adam. I watched your avoidant videos multiple times. Awesome. I just wanted to make sure you saw the live stream. The live stream about avoidant women was really, really helpful. Phoenix, I do have several interviews I did and coaching sessions I did with purely avoidant women coming up on my podcast. I Wish You Knew, the I Wish You Knew podcast. I did live coaching on the air, recorded it for like an hour and a half with multiple avoidant women. You will really like those episodes when they drop. Just make sure you're following that channel. Make sure you're following. Make sure you're following I Wish You Knew. I'm going to have one more question, then I'm out for the night. Johnny Peebles, welcome. I feel like it's impossible for me to truly relax. What do you suggest? I believe I'm both avoidant and anxious. Vitamins, I help. Meditation is not going to help. Not really. Physical pushing to the physical endurance point and then pushing into it will drain your emotions, especially as you release endorphins. So physical workouts and cardio is going to help. There's a specific type of breathing you can do. So body work, somatic body work to drain your emotions and drain your anxiety will help. There are somatic experience therapists that can help. Disorganized type like you are often have a lot of trauma. So EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprogramming work can be enormously helpful. It has an 80 to 90% success rate for resolving traumas that are trigger points for you. That can help. Supplements to take, magnesium, L-theanine. These are great things to look into. L-theanine is an amino acid and a building block to help you release GABA to calm yourself down. Magnesium is enormously important because you're probably burning it like a phoenix, like a furnace, not phoenix. Sorry, phoenix. You're burning it like a phoenix, but also like a furnace. Get those supplements going. That can be helpful. And then working through building secure relationships. If you need help building secure attachment, I have the Attachment Bootcamp video course. I don't know if you guys know this. I have the Attachment Bootcamp video course, a 10-step process to go from my life is stressful and I'm scared and crying every day to I am fulfilled and connected and bonded with the people around me and I have great relationships. That's what the Attachment Bootcamp video course is designed to help you do, to become secure. If you want to be secure, check out the Attachment Bootcamp course. Again, it's linked on my website, adamlanesmith.com. So it's all there. All right, you guys, I'm going to be out for the night. If you need help, remember that you can email me. You can leave comments. I'm going to put support at adamlanesmith.com. There is my email. Anyone who needs to email me or my team right there, shoot us an email. We can help you out. Send your stories, send your challenges, send your problems. We can talk with you about what you need. Maybe I have a product or a book or a course. If you want to hop on a free call with my client success managers and they can talk to you about if coaching is the right move or the group coaching, whatever you might need, please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out to the support channel. We're here to help you guys. So I will be back next time. Thank you for being here. Everybody watching afterward, thank you for being you. Leave your comments, subscribe, comment, do everything that you need to do. Remember that I'm here to help. Take care of yourself.